We're here at the Hogtown Card Show, very first podcast, Hyperhero Radio. We're here with Trevor, that TCG guy.
Pleasure. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. This is pretty cool. I met you in this very room, actually, like 2 years ago, wearing pink shorts and a golf shirt, because I didn't know I was coming to this.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to sit down next to you, knowing that we're tight enough that I was going to stand at your booth for you, but I have to be on this too.
Yeah.
So yeah, what made you want to be a vendor?
I mean, nostalgia would probably be number one. I truly enjoy the hobby. I started collecting when I was really young. When base set first came out is about when I started collecting. So I remember being in like the schoolyard, probably about grade 5, 6, and then it came out and it was all the hype, right? So for like a solid 3 years, I was collecting, maybe 4 years, and then I kind of gave up the hobby around Neo. Put it in the closet for about 20 plus years, and then one day just kind of saw my buddy's collection, got back into it, and just ever since, man, I've been kind of hooked in here. I came to my first couple card shows and I saw just all the people, all the vendors, like just the energy in the room was completely different than almost anything else that you can do, right? Like when you come to a Pokemon show, it's not like going to like a sports event or going to, like, let's say, a gathering with friends or something like that. It's completely different atmosphere, right? So like I don't know, man. I love the space and I just appreciate being here, Like like I pay to be here, but at the same time, it's 100% worth it because just meeting the people, networking, all that type of stuff. Sorry, Sage. Yeah, meeting people, all that type of stuff. It's fun for me, man. I get to hang out with my family. We get to spend quality time together that we wouldn't otherwise. So I mean, it's good, man. On all ends, it's good.
So I think it's really interesting. I stopped on a couple of things you said, and one was even the thing that brought you back to the hobby was a friend's collection, right?
Yes.
I love this for the community aspect, man. I agree with you totally. Like there's
Yeah.
a huge group of guys that I've gotten to know, and some of the women in the space are crazy too. And like, yeah, it's fun going to dinner
Yeah.
after. It's fun rolling dice. I'm not gonna lie.
Agreed.
As much we don't do that.
So
That is
at
awesome.
Rival, yeah. So he was my neighbor actually at the time. So
No
like
way.
my literal next door neighbor. So we used to just hang out and everything. And one day he showed me his collection, and then I'm like, man, I think I still have my cards in my closet, right? So
It's really
it's kind
funny
of
because my childhood collection, when it finally came out, I was at a vending table. My first show was in Orleans
okay.
at the mall that I grew up going to.
Blast.
I used to go to Cool Cards Heaven. That was
Okay.
a great place to buy cards. And the other store that I bought from was Entertainment Inc. You guys should look it up, Class Orleans. And they're still going today, and they decided to put on a little show in that mall.
Okay.
I went and did that, and the very first guy that I sold to was Keon from Collectors Row. Yeah,
Awesome.
and the next guy that I did a deal with, it was Justin from Denerion.
Okay.
So I mean, those two, like when you look at it 3-4 years ago, and then where it's gotten now, I think it's just been fun to watch everybody succeed at the same time too. And
I agree.
yeah,
Especially Keon specifically, I mean, me and him have meshed since day one as well. Like I always really like Keon. I like his whole team. I think they're all really good people. So it's kind of neat that you kind of brought him into this as well. And he was one of the first vendors you did deals with, because I feel like that's kind of a good stepping stone to get yourself back into the hobbies, dealing with somebody like him, right? So
yeah,
yeah,
no, and for me too, even at my table, there's a couple principles that I got from them. Like the idea for a vendor one-to-one trade, if it's something that person's really excited about, that all came from Keon and those guys.
Fair.
So
Yeah.
and then I've just kept up with that. It's like if you come to my table and you want that card for your PC, I'm not going to take 80%. Like I know that this is the game, right? So unless you're asking for cash, and then we all understand.
Then we understand. Yeah, cash is a little different, right? Like trades, I try to help people out, but cash is cash, unfortunately. So.
Yeah.
What do you think about PSA and their new facility?
Oh, the PSA. So here's the thing. You can't talk about a buyback program, have the entire community go, wait, something fishy's going on. What if they did this? And then a guy, of course,
Catches them doing just that.
catches them doing it,
With
right?
receipts.
So if you guys haven't heard, PSA has a buyback program. One of the guys in the community, probably like one of us, he ended up taking part in that buyback program. They told him he had 3 PSA 9s. So he took the $90 or whatever it was for that. And they turned around, and when he went to look at the cert numbers a little later, all of those had changed to 10s. So now they have the cards in their possession with those same cert numbers at
Yeah.
10s, like 20xing their value, right? So and now they're caught red-handed. By the time that all of us got wind of it too, this guy had already been paid off to say, "Oh, it's
Right.
just this one-time thing. Don't worry
Yeah,
about
yeah.
it." You know?
I'm sure if we deep dove into some other people's certs, we'd probably find that it's more of a common thing than we think,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But I feel like that's just kind of one that came out, you know, and was aired.
And then a week later, they talk about buying Beckett, their direct competitor. I don't think that's okay. I think that's creating monopoly that we already thought was there.
Yeah, they're definitely monopolizing the industry, especially considering people already talk about how much they have a monopoly and like a hold on the industry. I don't think it's very fair that they're buying out their biggest competitor, you know, and just leaving kind of more small fish in the pond. I mean, as from a business standpoint, I completely understand it, but from a collector standpoint, I don't agree with it.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of like a rock and a hard place for me.
Well,
Right?
you'd want to hope that the guys in charge of that were good enough and to understood that at the heart of what they're supposed to be doing is making an industry standard for a grade.
Right.
Right? They're trying to make our lives easier in that I don't have to argue. A price of a 9 is a 9. A
Right.
price of a 10 is a 10.
Yes.
Right? So I don't have to argue that. I understand that. But yeah, when it comes to these little things, and we've already all thought that there's biases and they're
Yeah.
gatekeeping 10s. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I think that's just that. But it leaves an opportunity for, and it leaves space for growth for the little guys too, right? Like Tag,
True. Yeah.
considered one of the, the third in the, or fourth in the,
Yeah,
in
they
the
came
ring.
out pretty fast, Tag. I think they've been
Yeah.
doing pretty well.
And
Yeah.
then I think one video went viral where somebody cracked it in half very easily.
I did see that.
That
yeah.
took him down a little bit. But at the same time, one, if you did want to preserve it forever, having it shatter like that means there's no way for it to recase,
That's fair.
right? So
Yeah.
we're having 9s and 10s being recased, right? Before,
Consistently.
yeah. So I think there does, and I don't know about you, but I walk around with a case with foam inside it
Yep.
to make sure these things don't fall on the ground or even hit
Yeah,
temperatures too high.
exactly.
So I don't know if it's a huge deal for the guys that are actually in this, but what do you think of Tag?
Personally, I love the quality of the slab, like the clarity, I should say. Maybe not the quality because I haven't really like dove too deep into it, but I think the clarity of the slabs are very nice. I think the overall look of the slabs are very nice. It's unfortunate that it hasn't picked up momentum to the point of, let's say, Beckett or PSA, because I wouldn't mind having them in my display, especially considering they're Canadian as well. So like I wouldn't mind sporting Canadian as well. But I feel like they're a few years away from where they need to be. But I feel like the momentum they have and the direction that they're going to get there.
Yeah, I think
In
so
my
too.
opinion.
So I do believe it was an American company at first. It started in
Oh.
California, but
Delete that.
there's Tag Canada. So there's investors from Canada in the space that we know. Like
Fair.
I think it's CJ is one of them.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big investor out
I
west.
think I met them once at a show.
Yeah, in Bend City.
I think so.
Yeah. CJ and Jesse, I think. The other thing too is like we're seeing a market dip here that in my opinion, I think it's different than the ones that we've seen in previous years. There's just too much going on in the market for it not to be like taken seriously, I think.
Okay.
But I think the recorrection is going to lead to like, putting the cards back in the collector's hands. In the same way that hockey did it in the 90s to early 2000s, where
Okay.
they just printed the heck out of it.
Fair.
Did you hear that Pokemon Company is like opening a whole new facility there?
I heard something about like over 1 million square feet or something like that. One of
It's
the
one of the-
biggest like real estate or commercial purchases in like all of 2025, I think.
Yep, the biggest, and it's
That's
at the
pretty
end of the year,
wild.
which is crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
So you had all year to compete with, and then you went, no, we went.
No, we're gonna take that title. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can see that. Like, what do you think's going to reprint too? Like, I'm scared. Like, I think that's why we're seeing a lot of panic selling, and
I agree with that. I hope that it's more geared towards future sets, not reprinting assets. But I mean, knowing Pokemon, it's whatever's kind of hot. So I feel like 151 is probably going to get a reprint. Paldea will probably get another reprint. I hope that's as far back as they go.
Yeah, I don't know if
because
Sword
if they
and
go
Shield
2
is
eras
safe.
back, it would be a little absurd, considering they know that people hold these as assets now. Like it is considered an asset
Yeah.
class. So I mean, they should at least take some of that into consideration before I think mass printing older sets,
Yeah,
keeping their
I agree with
customers
that.
in mind as well. Um, I don't know. I guess we'll see what the future holds, right? It's could go either way, I guess. It could be good because it could drive down, let's say, future booster box
Yeah.
prices. So instead of them coming out and market immediately hits 300,
Yep.
it's at 150 again, right? So
Yep.
it's more popular for kids. It's more
Oh, absolutely.
popular for families again, rather
It'll
than just
resurge
collectors. Yeah.
and I think vintage is still going to stay where it is.
Yep.
In fact, even in this dip, everybody's saying that the whole market's dipping, and maybe as a whole because of how many modern cards exist.
Right.
But honestly, none of my vintage cards are really going. Like, we're still seeing record sales on like Heritage Auction and other auction sites too. So
I feel like vintage and sealed are kind of safe. They don't really see those corrections as hard anymore because they've already went through their cycles. So I feel like
yeah,
people kind of know what to expect with those. Whereas like the modern, it's a roller coaster for like
yeah.
the first 6 months to a year, even 2 years, right? So
Anything after Prismatic too, they already upped their numbers for
yeah.
production, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So I think it's easier to see, and you can tell too. Like I went to like Canada Computers yesterday,
Yeah.
and they had Mega Evolutions on the shelf.
Yeah.
That didn't happen like last year,
No,
2 years
you
ago.
could
Like you
find
couldn't
nothing.
find anything.
Exactly. Doesn't matter where you were, it was basically sold out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One Piece seems to be doing something similar to
Yeah.
Pokemon a couple years ago too, in that I'm starting to see like, oh, I can't find it on the shelves at Walmart. I can't see it, and all the cards seem to be just doing
Taking
this.
that spike.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that big spike. So
That's more what I'm worried about too, though, right? Because I would love to get into the space, just in general. Because like I started watching the show, I'm about like maybe 40 episodes deep now. It's pretty good in my opinion. I like it. It's a little slower than what I thought, but I feel like it's going to get better later on.
yeah,
But what was the point? So I'm so glad this isn't live, bro.
here's the thing. So you've been doing this for how many years?
Everybody asks me this. I don't have a definitive answer because, to be honest, I don't remember exactly when I started. I'd like to say roughly 2 years.
2 years?
Roughly
2 years.
ish.
Man, we started around the same time.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
The first show that you saw me was my first show or my second show.
That's so cool.
Yeah, man. So like I've
Not
known
bad.
you and Don since like the beginning, pretty much.
That's really cool. Man,
Yeah,
see,
man.
we're learning stuff. That's really neat.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2 years down the road, what's next for you?
Right now we're trying to transition, not into online full time, but into online more because we'd like to cater more worldwide. Shows are fun, but they are slightly draining when they're so frequent, right? So
Yeah.
like I would like to come to a show more like once, twice, 3 times a month rather than 8 times a month, or 7 times a month. Not that I don't love the energy and the overall vibe, but it's just again like I would like to transition more into the online space so it gives us more time to be at home with family. It gives us more time to kind of function in the outside world rather than just focusing, okay, I work 9 to 5 or whatever it is during the weekday, and then during the weekend I'm just focusing on this. I have no family time. I have no time to kind of focus on my day to day or improve things in the house and stuff like that, which is where I would like to be, where I would like to be, right? I would like to have somewhat of a personal life and a work-life balance, right?
Yeah.
But right now it's strictly just work, 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 right?
Yeah.
And thankfully I'm in a space where I can bring my family. So
Well, and that's it. And I think a lot of that community that I talked about, like, yeah, when you describe that too, I got caught on that again because I don't think the regular person who comes to these shows it understands what that means.
right.
You said I'd rather only come 3 or 4 times a month. That's every weekend still.
Yep.
Right?
But not
Rather than
2
7
shows
or 8.
every weekend, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I can understand that for sure. I would
Yeah.
rather just do one show.
Yeah, like
For
one
a
nice show a
weekend,
month or
no
something,
problem.
or one nice show a weekend, one nice show every 2 weeks, just something consistent, but like not like an obligation, like
Yeah.
not like every weekend is spoken for, every week is spoken for, every day is spoken for. Like I feel like regardless, once we kind of branch into online space, it's going to be an everyday thing anyway because of shipping and
You're still gonna
orders
be
and,
here.
like
You're still gonna be
I
here.
always thought like opening up my own company would mean I work for myself, so I make my own hours. Completely the opposite. Like
Yeah.
as soon as I realized working for yourself meant working 24/7, it kind of hit a whole new way, right? Not that I don't appreciate that though, because I would rather work 20 hours a day for myself, making $1,000 than 8 hours a day, making $1,000 for somebody else,
Yeah.
knowing the potential in the future, right? So
Yeah, well, and I think the economy as a whole is going that way too, if I'm being
I
honest.
agree. Yeah.
Like, I think we're gonna see, instead of 2 or 3 gigantic corporations, we're gonna see 100 little companies.
Yeah.
And the trade aspect that comes from this is a very interesting one.
Okay.
Because if I just traded and traded and traded and traded, I only spent a very little amount of money on it, and I can sell it to you for 70%. We both won.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Or if we
Exactly.
just trade things for things, like I've been able to I'll be honest, when my girlfriend needed winter tires, I traded Pokemon cards for her winter tires, and it changed the way I saw what I was doing.
Like bringing it back to the barter system
You know what
almost.
I mean?
Yeah.
So I got $350 tires. He valued it at that. I spent maybe 150 on those cards,
Okay.
and he saw it as $400 worth of value.
Right.
So who lost?
Nobody. I think you
Nobody.
both win there.
So
For
I
sure.
think that's a huge thing that
Yeah.
like I think we're going to see more of as time goes on. Like, what do
Right.
you do other than this?
So I own a construction company.
So what happens if somebody has this like huge repair that they have to do on their house? You come to see them and they give you a sob story, but they've got a giant like stack of Pokemon cards. You doing that in a
I'm
heartbeat?
good to go.
100%,
Yeah. I
right?
give them a quote. We figure it out.
That's it.
That's it. That's
So
all.
I think that's a really cool aspect of this.
Yeah.
And I think that's where when you see businesses start to work together, especially if you have 2 or 3,
Yeah.
like I'm trying to buy a farm supply store right now.
Yeah.
I've been running the thing for the last 5 years.
Right.
And there's logistics involved, and every customer that comes into that store is a businessman. Like I have a joke that I say frequently now because I run businesses, and it's hey, do you want your receipt? No, I can't claim that. I learned that at that store when like
Fair. Fair.
70 people told me that,
Yeah.
right? And I was like, oh wait, so what does that mean? And I think that just alone is like a way to fight back the tax thing that we've been dealing with, and the amount of money that it costs just to live now.
I feel like the way currency is going too, bartering is kind of becoming more popular as well, you know, because like the financial system isn't as trustworthy as it was, let's say 20 years ago. You know, the banking system isn't as trustworthy as it was, let's say 20 years ago, from my knowledge anyway.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's getting progressively worse by the day. And it feels like it's getting, you know, more sketchy by the day, we'll say, you know, for a lack of a better way of putting it. But, you know, I feel like bartering is becoming more popular. You know, I feel like trading in general is becoming more popular. I feel like, you know, people are using money less and less.
I brought up that it feels like Pokemon's going to have to make some sort of move to keep the secondary market popping, while also making the general public happy with what they pull out of a Pokemon pack and attainable to buy at the store, right? And one of the moves that sports cards did is they went serialized numbered cards.
Okay.
So, what do you think the chances are? I think we're already seeing it too in the Pokemon market when it comes to like Chinese exclusives. Like there
Rare
was a Mew that
promos,
came
stuff
out
like
that
that.
we all
Yeah,
freaked
that's
out about.
actually
It's
what first came to my
40,000,
mind. Yeah.
right? So, what do you think the chances are that we get serialized numbered cards in Pokemon?
I feel like it's inevitable because of how well sports is doing with it. I personally am not a big fan of it because I feel like once they bring serialized cards into the hobby, especially if they put them, let's say, in sets or something, right? Like, let's say if they have a set and there's only like 50,000 of the chase card, like that kind of gives kids less of a chance to be able to acquire them, fill sets. And again, it is a kid's hobby too, right?
Yeah.
So like we need to make it acquirable for children. We need to make it cheap enough that the kids can still collect, right? Whereas right now it's not really like that, you know.
I do
I
feel
would
like
sorry, go ahead.
no, it's okay.
No, please.
I do feel like we have like that is true. It's very important to keep it attainable for kids. I
Right.
feel like we have a bit more like of a playful aspect when it comes to what we do versus the sports card community.
True. Yeah.
When you go in, I have a guy that like it keeps ringing in my ear because he put it pretty well. Was mad at my table,
Okay.
and he was just like, "No, man, all the sports people, they gotta act like men.
Yeah.
They gotta act like men. We don't have to.
No.
We get to be goofy. We get to be fun.
Have
We get to
fun,
have
you
a
know,
cowbell.
yeah,
We get to have
exactly.
like, suspenders on when we go and
Yeah,
do deals,
exactly.
So I think that, yeah, I think
Roll dice, coin flip,
that's
play
it.
around, you know.
Now, tops, like did you see the thing where like
They
the
might be
voice
doing
actor,
another
signed a bunch of signature boxes that looks like the tops ones.
okay.
So they think that Pokemon's going to bring back tops and come
I
back in
heard
tops
something
Chrome.
like that. Yeah.
That serialized, fine.
Fair. Yes.
You want to take it to be a different
It's more
product?
of an outside product though, right? Like it's not in like the
a
series.
licensed
It's not in
product
the
instead,
era.
yeah.
It's not, you know, like if people miss that set, they're not really missing out on much, right? Like
I'm definitely getting a box of that. Like
Yeah.
we're ripping a box of that for
yeah,
sure.
for sure, for sure. We still have some old Topps graded cards. We pulled them out of the display.
Just in case.
You
Like,
never
what if
know.
it happens?
Never
you
know, never know.
Yeah, I think Lewis too is one of the ones that like
Yeah.
he just got in a set and he
He
was
just
like, "What
took
do you
all my
think?"
sparkles too before they announced it. Crazy. Those are like pop
What does he
8s,
know
pop
that we
10,
don't
pop,
know?
pop
You know,
12.
like he's like,
Everything. Lewis is ahead of the game.
he'll be on here
That's why I'm
later.
glad he's at my table.
Yeah, he'll be on
Yeah.
here for sure.
Yeah.
He'll be on here.
I think Lewis would be like pivotal for
Yeah.
this. You know?
Well, and he brings up so many points, and some of the points, even the talking points that we did today, I've
Yeah.
heard on his channel, right?
Fair.
So, Trevor,
Let's get the
thanks for
machine.
coming on to the first
Thank you for having
episode.
me, brother. I appreciate it.
This is Hyper Hero Radio. We're at the Hogtown Card Show. That was the first episode. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, follow the journey for more. No, that's what's gonna make it so fun.
Oh my god, man.
Ugh.
Jeez.
My armpit's sweaty.